So in this video, we'll go through the creation of a simple DLL for Gui4Cli. I use Visual Studio 2019. I think maybe there's a newer version, and the parts of it that I have installed are just the desktop development with C++. And the parts of this that I have installed are these here. So after you have installed this, you can fire up Visual Studio. And this is what you'll be presented with. And you choose create a new project. And we want to create a DLL, so we'll go down here and create a dynamic link library. Next, we'll call it simple. And we'll save it on the desktop so we can find it easily. Select folder. Create. Visual Studio has created this folder here, simple. And it has opened up with this stub DLL. We don't need any of this. What we will do instead is go to Gui4Cli, the main Gui4Cli directory, which is in C program files, and go to the dev folder and the DLL tutorial simple, which is the simplest DLL possible so you don't mix yourself up. There's two files here. This is the code and this is the definition file, which we'll look at it later. The simple, just open it. We'll open it with Notepad so as not to interfere with Visual Studio. Okay. And then just take all this, copy, and go here and paste it over here. So let's just go through this and see what it consists of. First of all, by mistake, I think I put this here. This should be here better so that it's before everything else. This is the G4C API H. This is a very important file. It includes all the structures and the functions that Gui4Cli exports, in other words, makes visible to DLL so they can use them. This next one is, let's close this, DLL commands. It's an array giving all the names of all our exported commands and the templates of their argument. In this case, we just have one command, test, and its template is S, one string argument. This here is a pointer to the main function of the main structure of Gui4Cli, and this must be stated here like this. Let's go, this is the function that is our command, and this is the DLL init function. This is the first function that Gui4Cli will call, and it must exist in all DLLs. And what it does is it gets a pointer to this pointer. It initializes it with the function, with the structure pointer that is passed to us from Gui4Cli. So that now, through this, we can call all the functions and structures inside Gui4Cli. And in this case, we call one function, gc add commands, and we give it all the commands that we want to add. As you see, these are marked underlined red by Visual Studio, which means it doesn't understand them. And the reason for this is that we haven't told it where this include file is. So let's do that now. We go here, we go the properties of the project and use it for all configurations. And we go here to VC directories and go to include directories and edit it. And we'll add new line and add, and let's go to Gui4Cli main folder, which is in program files, dev folder, and go to the include here. This is where the G4C API H resides. So we select this folder, we say OK, and we say apply. And okay, now all these red lines have disappeared because Visual Studio found this include file and now understands these functions. So using them, we add the commands, as we said, and this is our only command. What is passed to every command is a structure containing the arguments that we have written into whatever GUI is calling this DLL. In this case, it's just one string argument, which is in args0 string. You can see the structure, how it's from Gui4Cli API H, and we just print it to the output window of Gui4Cli. So now, before we can compile this, we have to tell Visual Studio what functions to export. We do this with the definition file. So in order to make that, we go here, we say add new item, code, definition file, add. And by default, Visual Studio create this for us. A library, we have to fill in the name of the DLL we want, and in this case, it's simple. And then we say exports, and we just write here the names of the things we want to export, which is this thing here, DLL init, just the names of the functions. Copy and paste and test, the one command that we have. Paste here, and this is it. This is the whole thing of the source, the definition file. You list here all the commands and events you want exported. So now we're ready to compile it. Now this is in debug mode, so we just put a release mode so that we can have a smaller DLL, and we can build it now. Build. It can't find standard AFXH, so let's just exclude this thing and rebuild it. And it has succeeded. This was because we made a mistake before. And we succeeded, and it has created the DLL in here. Desktop simple release. So let's go find it. It's in here. Release. Here. And this is the DLL we want. It's just 9 kilobytes. Now, in order to test it, we can create a simple GUI. To do that, let's go to Gui4Cli, fire up the editor, and say file new GUI, and we save it in the same folder as the DLL, desktop simple release. We'll save it in here, and we just call it simple GUI. Now the DLL could be in two places, more places, but usually two places. One is in save it. This is the basic GUI that it will create for us. We don't need this, but the DLLs can be in the same place as the GUI itself, which is this case, or in the Gui4Cli folder in the DLL folder. Gui4Cli will look in both places for these things. So now that we have created, we don't need a window. We only need to print one command, xon load, and we want to quit afterwards. So we just say now simple dot test and something here. We are in the DLL now. So now we're ready to test it. Let's open the output window here, and we can save and run the GUI. It started up and it says you passed. We are in the DLL now. So it works. This is what happened here. The command was called, and it printed in DLL, you passed this argument and the argument that we wrote inside, which is this. That's all. There is another example of a DLL, a much more involved DLL, in which also adds this one here, which also adds events, which have handlers when the event opens and everything like that. And you can go through, but it's the same idea as this one. So that's it. If you wanted to use this DLL on a regular basis, you would just copy the DLL into the Gui4CLI DLL folder, and then you can use it as any command within Gui4CLI. So one more thing, if we want to have a look at the include file, this one, Gui4C API, we can find it, but it's easier to just go here, right click, and just say go to definition, and it will take us to the type def of the definition for gcprintf. Let's have a look at the file from the beginning. This is everything that is inside the Gui4CLI that is available to you to create programs with. Various defines, various structures, there's explanations for all of these. Let's just go down to here, the GC main structure. This is the structure that was passed to us. If we go here, DLL main, this here, this GC main structure, this is what is passed to us. This is what we get a pointer to. So Gui4C API, and the fields it shows are these. Here also there is a pointer. Below here there's many more private fields which I don't want to expose because I change them constantly. But here also there is a vtable, this, which is just a function table, and it points to a series of functions within Gui4CLI that you can call. These are defined here. These are the functions that are exported. GC add commands that we use to add our command, errors, printf that we use to print the statements, and many more functions here. The description for what these do is in a help file. Let's take this down and go to, let's just open the, or just go here to the main Gui4CLI folder, go to dev, and you have this help file here, which will give you the whole API, in other words, the functions that you can call. And these are what we just saw defined in the API H file. So that's it, I guess. I hope you make DLLs and have fun doing them. Thank you.